modelled out as if it's something special, and you know that's not great. It's basically just lowering the expectations.
Right. So, I mean, if we just consider that, if we consider television and its in popular culture, so would you say then that there is some kind of guiding influence above it, who's allowing certain programs to be commissioned in a certain way in order to dumb people down?
I think
that they don't think for themselves.
I think so. I mean, I'm
so who would you say is doing that then? You know, I mean, it's obviously it's not our government MPs or anything like that. Is it?
I'd look
you know,
again
the New World Order, or who's controlling? I mean, you know, a lot of people believe that the BBC is controlled by MI5. I mean,
I've heard that basically you've got to run stories past the Department of Defence. Like, I mean, that's not even as sort of conspiratorial as it might sound. If I was to come across a new weapon and go, wow, this is amazing, I want to put this out, it would, you know, be a national security issue. If I'm telling state secrets, so yeah, fine, we can see a reason for this, but if that safeguard is in place, what's to stop them doing
abusing
that?
it?
Yeah, I mean, look at David Shayler's book, Spies, Lies and Whistleblowers. He basically proved that I think it was The Guardian that he specifically looked at. They employ MI5 and soft journalists that would basically you know, highlight the things that they want to be highlighted and not talk about the things they don't.
I believe Jon Snow, he was asked to become an MI5 agent, and I believe he refused, which is why the information got out to try to recruit, you know, Jon Snow, one of the, you know, the top news broadcaster.
Yeah.
It then makes me think, well, how many other? Because if they were going to say indoctrinate Jon Snow in MI5 to manipulate the news and perhaps feed things back. It would be no use just recruiting Jon Snow.
No.
They would surely they would ask Jeremy Paxman, David Dimbleby, all these kind of people. And I often wonder about, you know, the people who are the sort of, you know, the figureheads of the news.
Yeah.
How many of them, you know, are being manipulated?
Well, if you were to believe that there was a conspiracy, you can't believe that they would let people who were dangerous to this conspiracy on the television. Of course they wouldn't. You know, I mean, this is a whole other thing. Is another aspect of mind control is that people live vicariously through celebrities, through people that they see on the television, and often the representation is not real. You know, it's either a complete manufacture or it's marketed well. You can even look at sort of, you know, very famous heterosexual icons like Rock Hudson, Cary Grant and such like that, you know, and in the private life they were privately homosexual. So their perceived image is completely different to their actual image. But it's that perceived image that people latch onto. For example, if you were to get people like Angelina Jolie throwing the weight behind charities like and even charities that have got connections to, you know, the CFR Trilateral Commission and stuff like that, we're more inclined to believe them because we associate the image of the celebrity, and for whatever reason we feel, oh, that's someone we can trust, that's someone nice, I know about them. We don't know about them. It is a marketing campaign.
And we were talking about BP earlier on and the Gulf of Mexico.
Yes.
Because you believe there's some manipulation going on there.
Oh, there's definitely manipulation. I mean, even aside from the fact that they're basically stopping people from going and viewing it and such like that, recently, in the past couple of days, they've been caught photoshopping images of the cleanup to make it look like they've got this huge, important command centre, and you know, they're flying over it, and it's very, very obviously photoshopped. The thing is that nobody's looking at that. That's not being discussed in the news. What is being discussed in the news is that Lindsay Lohan's gone to prison, which is obviously far, far more important. And if you're not interested in Lindsay Lohan, Mel Gibson's being a racist. And, you know, it's the same thing happens again and again and again. Like, there was certain inquiries that were going off, just so happened to be going off into the legality of the Iraq conflict, about the time that Tiger Woods got into his big palaver, and then all of a sudden we're interested in all these people. And that makes me very suspicious, because are you really telling me that nobody knew about all these people right up until that very second that it happened? You know, these things are kept on a back burner and released for entertainment, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a government minister who was sacked because they sent an email where they said, oh, this is a good chance to get this bad news out when a particular story occurred.
Well, I think that happened as well on 9/11. I believe that certain American politicians were saying that this is an excellent time to bury news.
Yeah.
But even the news, you know, can you really trust the news? Look at the 7/7 incident, okay? Not only have you got, within the incident, you've got massive lies. Again, the narrative doesn't work. The images are very obviously photoshopped. The guy's got the rail going through his arm. It's ridiculous. That train that they were supposed to be on never happened. So that's one element of mind control and, you know, public perception. The other is that basically we've now got these programs, these impartial BBC programs that are basically you know, going through the conspiracy. I've never seen an impartial BBC program.
Yeah, the BBC
Discovery
Conspiracy
Channel.
Files.
Mysteriously, they take an hour to discover that, well, the official story was absolutely right.
Yes, of course they do. And they're basically hit pieces.
Yes,
these
exactly. That's
Conspiracy
exactly
Files
what they are.
programs.
They are hit pieces.
I mean, you know, as you say, you see, the thing with, we just stay on 7/7 for a second. The authorities came out with this single frame photograph, and it's the only frame of CCTV that's got a proper timestamp on it. And the reason why they've brought that out, or at the time, was to place the 4 men at that location in order to back up their story. But that is a clear fake. The photograph has been faked. Now, that is a huge crime in itself. It's fabricating evidence. It's perverting the course of justice. And this is what they have done. Yet, BBC Conspiracy Files comes along, oh, the official story is all true. It's just not on, is it?
But again, you know, that harks back to what we were talking about advertising, and because it comes from the BBC, it becomes from a position of authority, and so people will go, oh, well, fair enough, that's reasonable. It's like when a doctor gets behind something. 9 out of 10 doctors agree with this. Which 9 out of 10 doctors? You know, what's the agenda behind these people? What are they trying to promote? You know?
Yeah, and we were also talking earlier, you know, we're saying how popular culture is controlled.
Absolutely.
But you believe that there's evidence that even the rebellious end of popular culture was controlled in the 60s and 70s.
Sadly, absolutely, yeah. If you read David McGowan's excellent blogs or his fine book, Program to Kill, basically he talks about the fact that all of the Laurel Canyon artists, the sort of the inception of the hippie movement in Haight-Ashbury,
Flower power and psychedelia and all of that.
They've all the sort of main players of that, you know, Frank Zappa, the Mamas and the Papas, Graham Parson, Hendrix, you know, Jim Morrison. They've all got intimate links to the military-industrial complex. Jim Morrison's father was Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was responsible for the Gulf of Tonkin, another mind control incident, another propaganda incident.
So you would contend that the introduction of LSD into popular culture was planned by the likes of the CIA then?
Well, it was actually planned by Tavistock, but it was obviously because it was done in America. It was, you know, it was obviously through the CIA, as we've said, all these interwoven sort of things.
So what would be the reason why they would want to do that?
Well, Jim Keith, he says that Aldous Huxley, basically he was the person that spearheaded the Tavistock, Aldous Huxley, writer of Brave New World. He spearheaded the Tavistock LSD explosion in America, and basically they were using artists like the Laurel Canyon artist to promote the use of this. And he said that basically it could be used as a euphoric drug similar to Soma in his book. And he said, let us consider another type of drug capable of making people feel happy in situations where they would normally feel miserable. By making a harmless chemical euphoric freely available, a dictator could reconcile an entire population to a state of affairs which self-respecting human beings ought not. You know, so
you think that when they've started this hippie culture with LSD and everything, do you think that they had do you think that they planned another step of that, perhaps, to introduce it to the wider population to control them, or do you think do you think that was just an experiment introducing it, or?
I mean, I think both. You know, basically, they used people like Jerry Garcia of the Great